in Under Night is real, because, like, when I go and play with, like, the new heads, they're like, you're very fundamentally good, and I'm like, P4U is one of the coolest fighting games, Shinjo. Hype soundtrack, good visuals, and just, like, overall, just funny game. Literally, I'm like that, yes. Back in my day. Back in my day. Back in my day, people were bad at games, and that's why I was good. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Back in my day, we didn't have rollback. Yeah, that makes a huge difference. Real talk. I can keep up with most of them, but there's a couple people playing that I'm just like, whoa. Y'all are very talented. But it's okay, you know what? I'm at peace with it, because I'm doing other things with my life at this point, so... I still love fighting games, and I always will, but I'm just not gonna be as, occupied by them as I was when I was in my 20s, so, you know. It's the way it is, and I'm okay with that. I'm gonna make a drink so you guys jam out with this amazing menu theme, and I'll BRB. Your turn to die, detective. Yes. Your turn to die, detective. Hey guys, I'm back. Let's do this. Downtown is dead. Why exists? Oh, you know what I'm remembering, by the way? We did the board game first try. Amazing. We literally didn't fail in the board game at all this chapter. I'm pretty proud of that. Oh. Hi. The board game mechanic seems unique. Hey, Lisa. I agree. It is quite unique. I enjoy it for the most part. I think the first one, for whatever reason, was extremely difficult. We won the Iron Man, and now we've gone on to Process of Elimination a little bit late. But at least we defeated Shadow Dragon. Die Detective is the gambling addiction detective. Oh, Lord. Yeah, so let's just rewind a sec. I think there's a lot against workaholic in this case, right? Like, at this point, I would be really, really shocked if it wasn't workaholic. We have a recap of last week. They arrived at an underground jail where, Ideal and the main character were held as kids. Which means they were on this island, which is odd. And they were searching for a way out because it was a dead end. They found a secret passage. There was a target employee robot inside. They fought it off. I agree. I think a more developed take on Celestia would be cool. I recently replayed Danganronpa 1 with Chief, and I think there was a lot of potential left on the floor, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Yeah, the murder method seems like, so they all have these beds, well, like beds in these rooms that fold up into the wall. So it seems like wires were used to pull the bed and skewer Rowdy, it was Rowdy, right? Rowdy detective, which is awful. Rowdy was actually growing on me quite a bit, so when she died, I was like, oh. Nano thinks that Posh will be sacrificed. I could see Posh dying, yeah. I like her based on aesthetic a lot. I don't know if I see her surviving the game. Nah, so because there's wires used in the murder, we think it's Workaholic, because he used wires against the target employee. He also was the one that we bumped into the first night when we were going to Bookie's cell. He was just lurking in the dark in the hallway. There's like a really strange world where Techie is involved in this, but I don't think so.
Target's a target.
I don't know what I think about Techie. I feel like I'm 50-50 on if I think Techie will get killed or is a killer. A mere commoner insisting we assemble. The insolence of it all astounds me. I take this to mean you've discovered the crime's true culprit then. That I have. Okay, so are we just going into the discussion now? I think the obvious one is, I think the obvious one is Workaholic. Yeah, we're already at the part where we discuss who did it. I don't have, like, a recap of details, huh? I answered Pasha's inquiry directly. Normally, I might have buckled under the pressure. But I won't falter this time. This is vengeance for Rowdy. First, allow me to clear my name. I assert that it would have been impossible for me to enter Rowdy's cell using the underground passageway. Oh, you didn't finish the VOD, Lisa? Yeah, so basically, we got knocked out and put in a room where there was more robots. And when we escaped from that room, we ended up in Rowdy's cell and found her dead. But Rowdy switched with bad guy. I never remember his name. Renegade detective. She switched rooms with him, and Renegade and Workaholic had beef with each other. So if Workaholic was gonna kill anybody, he probably was trying to kill Renegade. No, so Doleful was asked to switch with Renegade and declined. And when he declined, Rowdy stepped in and said, I'll do it. So because of their existing relationship, like there's animosity there, I feel like that's probably what happened. I assert that it would have been impossible for me to enter Rowdy's cell using the underground passageway. Pardon? And why exactly would that be? There was no other method of entry last I recall. There's a tricky issue with that tunnel. Something one detective particularly close with Rowdy must have noticed. That person would be... Wait. Okay, so wait. Our evidence list. A loop of wire that has been attached to the base of the spike. Was it used to move it somewhere? Thinking back, I recall seeing the warden's room chair when I was attacked last night. The hidden door I used to enter Rowdy's cell makes a loud noise when opened or closed. Damage to the bed suggests the culprit slammed it shut, thereby plunging the spike into Rowdy. Something caused them to fly out of her pocket. We need to be sure to figure out how it happened. It's been shortened, most likely to aid the culprit during the crime itself. They aren't visible in darkness. Maybe the wire used in the crime went unseen for the same reason. The marks appear to have been left by a wire wrapped around the bar and taut. The wire is coated in fine metal shavings. It seems the culprit had attempted to destroy it. It glows in the dark, making useful places where it see Becky's beloved screwdriver awarded to him after placing in an engineering contest for kids. The doll has a different color than from kids. I actually don't know the answer to this, then. Something one detective particularly close with Rowdy. Who was close with Rowdy? Gourmet, renegade, bookworm. None of the above. Maybe Gourmet? Gourmet, would you tell us the issue with entering the cell using the passageway? Okie dokie. Actually, why don't I open it up and show you guys? With that, Gourmet climbed into the passage and began opening the door. As she did, rather loud, isn't it? Right? And little Rowdy had such sensitive ears, remember? Do you really believe that she, of all people, could sleep through all that racket? A valid point. It's just like Gourmet says, using the passage makes a lot of noise, so much that the neighboring cells might notice. Which basically makes it impossible that someone with hearing as keen as Rowdy's wouldn't notice. Now wait a moment, how could the perpetrator make such a blunder? Surely they would have noticed the issue had they tried moving it even slightly. I don't think they were able to test it since they'd risked crossing paths with me. I believe this crime was a spur-of-the-moment gamble, which is precisely why the culprit made so many blunders. We can see similar missteps in the method they used to murder Rowdy. Their method, you say? Tell me then, what missteps would those be? Techie already recreated them for us, actually. You ready, Techie? Yes, leave it to me. The preparations are all complete. Techie has an aura of readiness about him. Still, it's clear the group isn't on the same page, with Posh tilting her head in confusion. Well, what have you prepared for us? Explain it in nobleman's terms, please. Posh, take a look at your feet. This is a wire trailing along the ground? How could I fail to notice such a thing? Looking closely, it appears to be attached to the chain of the wall bed. What on earth is the purpose of this? This is the wire we found inside the dungeon. I'm sure you know where it's from too, Posh. Pardon? Right, this wire is... SPX or the wire saw? Shit. SPX is the robot. Well, there was wire in that first dungeon that they went in, remember? That was the wire saw. This wire was used by a certain SPX to retrieve its spikes. The very same ones that attacked you, Posh. More was stolen than just the spike itself? Okay, we guessed right. Correct. It was obvious the spike was missing, so we overlooked what else was stolen. After all, it was just a small portion of wire taken. This wire is sturdy, but it's black, making it hard to detect in darkness. All the more here in the cells, since they lack their own lighting. Also, speaking of lighting, mine is extremely bad right now. Let's increase a little. Oh. My camera, like, that looks fine. But if I move over here, okay, no, we're, let's also change our background light. What's me? See, now I look super... Yeah, let's go like that. I bet Renegade won't die at all. We'll see. Renegade seems like he'd be hard to kill. Hi, I have pizza. Yay! I had pizza last night, and honestly, a little left over today for lunch. What kind of pizza, Diamond? I hope you enjoy. If you run the wire along the side of the wall to the entrance, you could manipulate what's happening in the cell without entering yourself. I feel like if someone wanted to kill Renegade and failed, they would make him until the end. I need to order some pizza? Do it, Fabbles. I think I'm gonna have more of that soup for dinner. Kevin made potato bacon soup? Yeah, I think it's a chowder. I don't... Maybe? Some cream and chicken-based stock. It's pretty darn good. Let's make potato dessert. Ah! That poor guy. Right, just like Techie says, before the murder, right before lights went out, the culprit must have attached the wire to the bed chain and iron bars. They then used it to impale Rowdy on the spike without going inside her cell. Slow down. How do you propose they use said wire to move the spike? Very suspicious. True, it could have easily passed between the bars, but it's several meters to the bed. Wouldn't an accurate shot to the chest be rather difficult? Yeah, it would be. For the culprit, the trickiest part was figuring out how exactly to stab her with the spike. However, I was able to recreate the method by examining the marks left by wires tied around the bed chains and cell bars. The culprit positioned the spike above the sleeping Rowdy by using an unusual approach. Namely, position the spike above the sleeping Rowdy by using an unusual approach. Sliding the spike down with wires. I think that's it. By connecting the bed chains to the bars with wire, the culprit created a bridge to slip the spike into Rowdy's cell. Bridge, So they connected the chain to a bar, then pulled the wire taut. Wouldn't it be a bit difficult to slide the spike down that way? The chain extends to the bed's outer corners. Even if the spike traveled all the way down, you'd be lucky if it managed to stab the head or shoulder. Yeah, with a one-wire zip line, that would be the case. But what if 2 wires were used to form a track of sorts? 2 wires? Yes, 2 wires could then act as a guide rails, with the spike suspended in between them. The girl handed incompetent detective a replica of the modern murder weapon that she had prepared. Just as I'd requested earlier, Bookworm produces a spike with some wire attached. Just like the actual weapon used in the crime, there's a hole at the base of the spike, where a wire can be fed into. The wire has been passed through the hole and connected at the ends, forming a loop. Thanks, Bookworm. Just like the replica she made, the real murder weapon also featured a wire loop, creating a sort of giant keychain. I mean, Lisa, I have a feeling he set the trap up in Renegade's room. Renegade discovered it and then asked to switch. And I don't think killing Renegade makes you not evil. I think there could be multiple motivations for wanting to kill Renegade. I don't think Renegade is related to the Quartering Duke. I think that he's like the wildcard unhinged person. And the person trying to kill him probably wants him out of their way because him being alive makes it hard for them to accomplish their goal. Renegade also doesn't care about any of the other people in the group, so instead of dismantling it, he would definitely choose to, like, pique his curiosity and be like, oh, is this a trap? Let's see if it happens to somebody else. Exactly. I mean, I guess there's a world where Renegade did this, but I really think it's Workaholic. Like, I'm like 90% certain it's Workaholic. Honestly, even thinking back to the the second case, where Mystic Detective died, the way the game's script was written, Downtown was the one to question all of our methods, and now Workaholic is doing the same thing. If we thread the guide rail wires connecting the bed chains and bars through this loop, what would happen? Let's test it out, and let's test it and find out. I pass the 2 aforementioned wires through the wire loop at the base of the spike, then let go. Once I do, the spike drops a bit before wobbling back and forth, dangling between the 2 wires. I'm a little confused about what they're explaining, by the way. If I let go like this, the spike only dangles in place. It can't travel to the bed like this, so an additional change must be made. Armor, could you adjust the knots of the wires over on the bars so they're higher up? Verily, my good sir. Wasting no time, Armor immediately unties the knots and repositions them much higher. The incline of the track connecting the bars to the bed is quite steep now. As expected, the spike begins to move. I just had a random thought, and it's not related to this case at all. Should I share it right now? I think no. I think I'm back on Ideal Detective being the quartering Duke.
Oh my god!
So, Ideal faked her own death. And killed Armor Detective. And she's inside Armor's suit. Because these games don't tell you... These games do not tell you information for no reason. And in the very first chapter, she said, a good detective can fake anyone's voice. Watch this. And she impersonated Senior Detective. Do you guys remember that? So, I would chalk her up being a ghost to some other ability that we don't know that she has. She's able to, like, have a projection of herself. I don't know. Maybe she was experimented on with the MC in the beginning of the game and they have some weird link. But I'm feeling like all these things are not adding up. The ghost thing needs an explanation, and I'm sure the game is withholding that from us, the players, because they don't want us to figure it out this early. But I am feeling like a morphogenetic link. I don't think it's morphogenetic. It could be. And if another game does that, then I will have to take issue. No, no, no! He's not leaving. He just does this. Like something of a cable car, the suspended spike slides down the two guiding wires. It's begun to descend! By adjusting the angle, the spike's weight propels it downward. I see why those marks on the bars are so high up now. Rosen loves chaos, yes. Yeah, I noticed the scratches on the bars were much higher than on the chains. That's when I realized the track required a steep incline. Sliding spike reaches the end of the track, coming to a halt, where the wires and chains connect. It's perfectly in between the two chains supporting the bed, dangling directly over where the sleeper's torso would be. I've grasped the general concept, but how does the wire remain taut? The chair. It's the fucking chair. While suspended by that loop, shouldn't the weight of the spike pull the wires downward and cause them to slacken? Aside from the tip, this spike is remarkably light. So long as the wires were pulled taut and properly attached, they shouldn't give in. Despite its lightweight design, it's still heavy enough to propel down the track. If the angle is right, it'll make it to the bed without a hitch. Once the spike reaches the bed, all one must do is untie the knots on the bars. I leave the rest to you, said the girl, gesturing to incompetent. Alright, everyone, your attention please. This was the method used to murder Rowdy. First, I untie one wire. It was only threaded through the chain links on the opposite side, so its removal is incredibly easy. Upon doing so, the suspended spike wobbles and falls toward the bed, but that momentum alone wouldn't be enough to stab someone. The design of the bed, however, was exploited to compensate for this. Because of the way the wall bed was constructed, pulling the chain will cause it to close like this. Grasping the second wire, I yank it with all my might. The chain is pulled along with it. And with a sharp noise, the bed jerks up to the wall. As I let go, we can see that the spike is embedded deep inside the mattress. What was that? How did the spike stab through the bed when it was lifted? Due to the length of the spike, folding up the bed causes it to catch on the corner of hollow space, where the mattress fits into the wall. Oh, I see! That's why the culprit took the spike in advance. They wanted to adjust its length so it'd get caught there. Exactly, Doleful. For this crime, the needle couldn't touch the victim while dangling, but still had to catch when the bed was closed. That's why the spike was stolen ahead of time, despite the culprit knowing they may be exposed for doing so. But an unforeseen problem arose, making one other condition necessary to pull this plan off successfully. And what would that be? Height. As Teki explained before, the wire track's slant must be angled high enough to slide the spike over the bed. However, during the crime, the culprit found that their arms were too short. The track was tilted too low and the spike stopped moving. Adequate height was required. Then how was it attained? Mayhap the culprit mastered the art of body elongation, the chair. Gaining sufficient height would be quite a challenge, yes, but there's a simpler way to accomplish this. The culprit gained their height by using... The culprit needed the chair in the warden's room to rise up the wires. Lisa? The very same chair we employed whilst investigating the SPX? Yep. That's right, the culprit must have seen us using it and recalled it at that moment. Standing atop the chair, they were able to reaffix the wires at a higher point before sliding the spike down once more. Culprit could be Delson.
Yes?
However, it's here that the culprit made a fatal error. And what was that? Quickly, if you would! When they were bringing the chair over from the warden's room, they happened to bump into me. I definitely recall seeing that chair somewhere it shouldn't have been at that moment. Perhaps they were attempting to rid themselves of a potential eyewitness. From the culprit's perspective, it would make sense. So long as the culprit wasn't seen carrying it, they could claim to be on their way to the warden's bathroom. Wouldn't that be easier? Wait, who the fuck? Who did we bump into? Rowdy? No, Doleful? I'm pretty sure we bumped into Doleful and he said he was going into the warden's. Oh, maybe I'm misremembering. It's been at least a week since the scene, so I'm not sure. Frankly, it was odd for the culprit to be in that area considering the dungeon's layout. Wait. Is he forgetting? Is he forgetting that this isn't Rowdy's room? This was Renegade's room. But at the time, someone was inexplicably at the spot where I was attacked. The same individual, Rowdy. Fuck! I don't remember! Oh, crap. I really want to go with Workaholic, but I just have this feeling. I'm going with Workaholic. That's right, it was you, Workaholic Detective. In the same sense that Effie often employs clueless child soldiers. Yeah. You're the culprit. You're the one who murdered Rowdy. Despite being accused as the killer, Workaholic smiles completely unflustered. That's a rather cruel joke. You think I'm the culprit on no grounds aside from the positions of our rooms? What about that makes you so sure that I'm the one who did it? You're the only one! So did we even place info on him up till now? No. But if you think about it, it kind of has to be him. And he also hated Renegade, and it was Renegade's room. Rest in peace, Flan's VA, who is on strike, and they've removed that line from the game. And now we have a terrible new VA that's gonna sound like crap. I kind of have to pee again. You guys feel me? I also have E7 barking at me. I'm just grinding AP. Let me pee real quick. Wait, what is this? Did they remove the previous lines? Yes. E7 isn't doing A high, so why be against it?
The fish are going to feast tonight.
Because the new VA just sounds like poop. That line that she just said, she goes, "The fish will have a feast tonight." It's like, you take a line that sounds so sassy and so good. Yeah, the old ones are going away. And the other one, she's like, What lies at the bottom of the sea? Like, it's just lifeless. Whereas the previous VA did such a good job delivering her lines.
What lies at the bottom of the sea?
Yeah, but I'm sure they're mad at her for going on strike or something, who knows. What about that makes you so sure that I'm the one who did it? Yeah, so that's why I think it's the conditions, Nano. Tenebria and Diane's voice actress retired from the industry, whereas Bland's VA is on strike, so it's very different. The circumstances, I mean. This is just what I'd expect from a veteran detective. His reply is calm and his voice is quiet. Before coming to this island, I might have lost faith in my theory and abandoned it. But I'm not hesitating anymore. I'll trust myself on this, the way Rowdy would have. It was odd for Workaholic to be where I saw him because... Oh, so the strike is about AI voice acting? Interesting. That does make me wonder what's going on at Smilegate then. I don't know exactly what the answer to this one is, because I don't have our chart, like, I can't review our chart of everything. Which I wish I could. Oh, didn't MiHoYo have that whole thing with not paying Paimon's VA? Interesting. It's far from his room. The lights weren't on. It's not on the way to the bathroom. I don't know. It's not on the way to the bathroom. Your room's in the back. There's no reason to go through the front to reach the warden's bathroom. Being seen there would have been curtains for you. In that case, shouldn't Teki be a suspect too? You ought to be ashamed singling me out like this. That's true. If it's just based on room location, Teki is a suspect too. But the trick used for this crime proves Teki can't be the culprit. That's because he uses a wheelchair. Teki uses a wheelchair. He's always in it, so even if he could stand, there'd be no need to fetch a chair. I don't want to believe it, but the only person who has something to lose by being seen near the SPX is you. You lacked the height, so you panicked and took the closer route to the warden's room to get the chair. That's when you noticed me. And since I already sensed someone and was looking for them, you tried to have me removed altogether. That way, you could eliminate the risk of being spotted while simultaneously pinning the crime on me. Workaholic's face changes color. Though I'm happy to catch the culprit, my heart feels heavy at the same time. I think Workaholic would do this. I don't know. I can't believe it. But there's no going back now. I have to soldier on without faltering.
動機がないだろ
You're still lacking motive. Huh?
う。どうして私が
What reason do I have to
ヤマ
kill
ト君を
Rowdy?
殺さないといけないんだ。
Never have I heard Workaholic speak with such a voice. It freezes me in my tracks. He turns my way, pure ire etched on his expression.
私は
I've been working with the Detective Alliance since its inception. Why would I harm a fellow member?
疑わしいのだ。
I know I appear suspicious, your theory holds water. But accusing someone without a motive? That's enough to strip you of your credentials. Well, you see, you were trying to kill Renegade, bitch!
犯人の
Treating others like criminals without identifying intent ruins people's lives. That's the worst thing a detective can
どう
do.
なんだ。
Well, incompetent detective, answer me. He rebukes me with furor, his threatening demeanor causing me to trip over my tongue. I can't find the words to fight back. My theory should be correct, but his harsh rebuttal makes me unsure. Did I really get this right?
ひるむ
Stand firm, Watto. Your theory is
君の
accurate.
推理正しい
There's no doubt that workaholic detective is the guilty party. It isn't rare for culprits to panic, their emotions running wild as they push back. Balking equals defeat, so stay calm and find the truth. Bolstered by Holmes's encouragement, I keep my face steady as I meet Workaholic's eyes. They haven't changed, still gleaming with ferocious, murderous intent, but I can't let them be. My theory could very well ruin Workaholic's life. But he didn't just ruin Rowdy's life, he ended it. I can't back down, there's no way.
もう一度聞く。
Let me ask again, why would I kill Rowdy? If you're so convinced I'm the culprit, tell me why I did it. Here we go, Watto. Focus your mind and think. There must be something important that you're overlooking. Did Workaholic really want to kill Rowdy? He didn't want to kill her.
殺す気はなかったん
You
じゃな
didn't
い
mean
で
to
す
kill
か
Rowdy, did you? After all,
さすが
you
に
didn't
山
have
田
any
さんを殺す
incentive
動機
to.
はありませんからね
Time to logic dive! Get in the car! Wait, that's a V3 version. Logic dive was a snowboard, wasn't it? What are you saying? Rowdy is dead, and that's a fact. What are you claiming that I killed her
私は
against
殺
my
す
own
気がない子を
wishes?
殺したっていうのか。
Workaholic's right. Rowdy was murdered. He didn't mean to kill her, but she's still dead. Looking back, I can think of one underlying cause for this. You know what this game is missing? Hours and hours of games. Babbles. You know what? I knew that you liked Minigame Monday. I knew it. I do like the board game. I just don't think I liked the first board game we had to do because it actually felt like you could waste 0 movement. Like, honestly, the first board game puzzle was like playing Shadow Dragon. It's like the game was designed around you failing and starting again, which I hate when games are designed that way. But this one? Posh, lucky she didn't run into death. Well, the problem is, the target of this murder was Renegade Detective. Renegade Detective figured it out and then asked Doleful to switch, which I actually think could be a tactical move on his part, because if Doleful was going to do something, he would sense the danger and probably evade it. But when Rowdy stepped up to say, oh, don't worry, Doleful, I'll do it, Renegade just went, okay, and let her die, because he pretty much knew it was a death trap. So I guess it could have been anybody. Anybody that was asked by Renegade. He didn't mean to kill her, but she's still dead. Looking back, I can think of one underlying cause for this. Renegade looking out? I don't think so. Because initially he asked Doleful, which is like, if Doleful dies, or if Doleful is in a dangerous situation, he will probably sense it and avoid it. But Rowdy stepped up, who doesn't have that ability, and he said, okay. I think allowing Rowdy, it proves that he's not for, like, the good of the team. Yeah, it's very possible that he suspects Doleful like Nano. And I'll be honest, I'm a bit suspicious of Doleful as well. It's like me nominating Ricard, but okay with anyone else dying too. Yeah, Renegade is definitely Rosenlock, I agree. He's now Rosenlock Detective. Before the murder, Rowdy switched cell with Rosenlock Detective, but you weren't aware of that. So even if you really had intended to kill her, you couldn't have. Because you didn't know which room she was in. That brings me to another realization. This murder happened because two detectives swapped cells for the night, which means that Workaholic had actually meant to kill. He's heavily discount Nagito? Oh yeah. Incompetent, please, believe me. I didn't do it. It's time to wrap this up. Well, these are also like Walmart class trials, right? Like, we're getting... We basically have zero fluff. We immediately discuss what happened and then accuse someone. I'm not gonna fault it. Class trials go on for a long time. I personally enjoy that, but I could see not everyone liking that. Again, my vision of like how mystery visual novels play out is extremely skewed because I hold Danganronpa in super high regard. But I still really like this game. Like, I think this game is great, to be honest. During our investigation, you secretly took black wires from the SPX and attached them to the chains of Renegade's wallbed. And yeah, I think the writing in Danganronpa is a bit stronger, for sure. I don't typically like it when mystery games allow me to figure out what happened ahead of time. And I know that sounds crazy, but I kind of want them to withhold details so that I'm gagged later. But like, the second we did the investigation for this game, I went, oh, so it's Workaholic. And then it was Workaholic. I didn't actually know it was downtown though, so to the game's credit, I really didn't suspect downtown until we had the evidence where she randomly hugged Mystic, and I was like, kill her! Okay. You set them on the floor against the wall, so they would go unnoticed in the dark cell. That way, you could touch the wires from outside whenever. Not in front of Nano. You suspected her because you pay attention to the wives. Alright, Nano, I need you to pay extra close attention to Bookie and let me know when she's in danger, because I kind of think she's our ride or die, but if she goes before the end of the game, I will be legitimately sad. I'm actually... Is she a middle schooler? Yeah, she's a middle schooler. I think I would be the saddest if Bookie dies. Like, out of all the characters, I do not want Bookie to die. When the time was ripe, you went to Renegade's cell, took the wires you placed, and tied them taut to the bars, creating a makeshift bridge. That gives you 2 guide tracks from the bed to the bars. Then, if you thread them into the loop at the end of the spike, its own weight will glide it down. The knots would ensure the spike stopped above the chest of the sleeper. Then, after undoing one wire, it'd rest diagonally against the body. Last, yanking the other wire would pull the chain with it, closing the bed upon the spike, like it was biting down, a terrifying contraption. This is how you plan to stab Renegade Detective to death, while remaining outside of his cell. Emphasis on planned, that is. Since you never got a trial run, you didn't realize the angle wasn't steep enough. So, to fix that, you got a chair from the warden's room to stand on. But unfortunately, you ran into a wrinkle, me. You knew it'd be strange for you to be seen there, so you knocked me out and used me as a scapegoat. Yeah, Workaholic is the one that kidnapped us. I fell right into your trap and became the prime suspect of the murder. In this semi-sealed cell, you successfully pinned the crime on me. After all your attention to detail, your fatal mistake was not knowing Renegade and Rowdy had swapped rooms for the night. The crime was carried out remotely and in the dark. You never realized who was in the cell, so you murdered Rowdy by mistake. Workaholic, you haven't gotten along with Renegade for a while now, have you? That was who you really wanted to kill, right? Workaholic's protests trail before dying off. His silence speaks far more to the truth than anything else that's been said. This murder was a tragedy done in darkness. Not a soul noticed it happen, and even the culprit wasn't wise to their own mistake. The mistake of killing Rowdy instead of Renegade. That culprit was you, Workaholic Detective! Workaholic's mouth hangs open, and no words came out. He has nothing to say in his defense. We all watch him in silence. The truth has been revealed, but there's still something I just can't comprehend. Workaholic, why were you so fixated on killing Renegade Detective? I can't see a rational, experienced detective like you allowing yourself to get emotionally provoked into murder. What happened between you two? Well, you see. Renegade Detective suddenly bursts into laughter. As he speaks, he points at Workaholic, his face flushed with joy. Bravo! What a show, Workaholic Detective! But it's game over for you now. I've been waiting with bated breath to see how you talk your way out of this one, but relying on a lack of motive was your final swan song. I was hoping you'd remember your old self and show some defiance. From the bottom of my heart, I'm disappointed here. Didn't give me the slightest of tingles. What are you talking about? I'm not following at all. Then allow me to enlighten you. Did they used to be like partners in crime or something? Workaholic Detective may act like your average white-collar company man, but a decade back he was quite the polar opposite. Isn't that right? Or should we ask all those children you kidnapped and confined in the name of justice way back then? Diabolic Detective. Oh, so he's the one that kidnapped us. Enough, don't you dare call me that. Oh, it looks like they're hugging. Workaholic, settle down. Workaholic's voice grows coarser than I've ever heard as he grabs Renegade. I step between them, but his words are still ringing in my ears. What are you trying to say, Renegade Detective?
家畜さんが子供を誘拐
Workaholic
していた
kidnapping
なんて
kids? There's no
そ
way.
んなわけないじゃん。
Yes, actually.
10年前に
Diabolic
君を誘拐したの
Detective
も
was the
そ
one
こ
who
の
abducted
地
you
区探偵なん
10 years
だよ。
ago. Although the kidnapper himself has yet to realize that.
無の君が
Incompetent?
おかしくはな
It's
いだ
not
ろう
that strange, is it?
なんたってこ
After
の
all,
島
every
に集まった
detective on this
探偵
island
た
has
ちは
had their
みん
life
な明けぬ夜事
upturned by
件
the
に人生
dayless
を狂
night
わされた奴
incident.
ら
どういうことですか？
What is he talking about, Workaholic? Explain yourself.
違うんだ
Don't listen to him.
確かに過去に
It's
罪を
true,
犯した
I've done my share of evil deeds in the past, but now,
仲間を殺しといてよ
some nerve saying that after killing your own colleague,
当時は
you were
鬼畜と呼ばれて
diabolic
いた
back
の
then,
に
but 10 years
10
is a
年の
long
月は
time,
偉
eh?
大だよね
So now you act all
人畜無
innocent
害
as
な
if
顔をして苦労人の中間管理職を
as a
演じられる
world-weary
んだ
middle
もの
manager.
な
Fantastic
素晴らしい
diabolic.
その名で
I said not to call me that. Workaholic slams his foot square into Renegade Detective's stomach. I hear the horrific sound of bones breaking. The sharp crack utterly dispels his formerly weak appearance.
今までの蹴りは演技だったんですか？
I called that out too, by the way. That he lightly kicked the wall to not give himself away. So that kick earlier was just an act? Workaholic goes pale as he realizes his mistake. So you really were deceiving us all along, Workaholic. No! This is all a misunderstanding. Back then, the old me knew nothing.
もちろん後悔
Of course I regret it. Even now I'm driven to make amends. It's why I don't sleep at night. Why I continue my detective work. I...
言い分は探偵にではない。
Save your regrets for the judge. We all know the facts. You killed Rowdy, and I will never forgive you for that. I'm sorry. I don't know how to apologize enough. Once I'm in hell, I'll look up at Rowdy in heaven and continue atoning. At first, I think Workaholic is wiping away tears, but he suddenly whips towards Renegade Detective once again, his face full of rage. It's you, Renegade Detective. I will kill you, no matter what it takes. Even if I must become diabolic again, I swear I'll end your life.
殺してみせる
Okay, so place your bets, you guys. Is Workaholic gonna kill himself, or is Renegade just gonna kill him? Redeemable? Oh, Nano. Gourmet poisons both of them and eats them. Gourmet is so gonna be a killer at some point. I know what you really are, invincible detective. The most abominable monster ever created by the secret police.
あんたたちに何と呼ば
As
れ
if
ていた
I
かなん
would
て
know
知
what
ら
you
ない
creeps
さ
call me.
ただ
All I
覚えている
recall
の
is
は
being locked up in this dungeon. You remember too, don't you, incompetent? We're both victims of diabolic detectives' little abduction spree.
誘拐された同志だからね
Wait, what? You were one of the kids in that kidnapping incident too?
先ほどから何を
Just
話
what are
してい
you
ます
two
か？
babbling about?
私
Make some sense, you absolute nincompoops.
おっとごめん
I
ごめん
do apologize, madam. Why don't I fill you in some other time? See, right now, we need to focus on restraining Diabolic Detective here. I bid thee refrain from resisting, Sir Workaholic. 'Tis not my desire to harm thee.
暴れるなら容赦はしない。
If you get violent, we won't show any mercy. Sandwiched by armor and gourmet, Workaholic looks to the ceiling and lets out a deep sigh.
信じてくれ
I'm not asking you to believe me, but I can't let you seize me like this. Not yet.
捕まるわけだ
In an instant, Workaholic deftly slips out of their grasps, and before dashing into the passage where the white SPX emerged from, It happens faster than my eyes can process. His speed belies my meekness, the meekness he had presented up until now, and I fail to so much as react. I don't want to accept Renegade Detective's words as truth, but there's no doubt now that Workaholic Detective has been concealing his abilities this whole time.
社畜さんを置いてけよ
Workaholic, we need to go after him. Everyone follows me toward the passage. We've solved the case, but all it leaves behind is an intangible mystery hanging over us all.
けど探偵
So we leave. Renegade Detective. I call out as we head down the passage. My impatience getting the best of me. There's something I have to know.
君は本当なら
If everything you said is
そ
true,
の犯行
couldn't
を
you have
止めら
stopped
れたんじゃない
Workaholic?
か
どうしてそう思う
What
の
makes you say that?
部屋を交換したタイミング
Your
が良す
timing
ぎ
for
るからだ
switching rooms was too precise. You must have noticed that Workaholic had targeted you.
気づいていた
Now,
随分と勘
when
が
did
鋭
you
くなった
go
も
and
の
get
だ
so
ね
sharp? Making me
たくさんいじめた
guess
甲
me
斐があった
picking
と
on
い
you
うも
really
の
did
だ
pay
よ
off, eh?
じゃあ
So I'm
や
right.
っぱり
ああ
Yup, I realized that he was gunning for me, but I couldn't be certain, so I decided to bring it to light. From there, I riled Workaholic up till he was finally kind enough to show us his true self. Shame Rowdy paid the price
ま
for
あ
it
その
though.
代償でヤマト君が死んじゃったのは本当に残念だけど
Yeah, Kuroi, that's part of the reason why I think Ideal could actually be the quartering Duke. No, she's innocent.
そんな人事のように振る舞えるんだ
How can you say that like you had nothing to do with it? Rowdy died in your place.
じゃあ代わりに
So I should have died instead. Unlike her, I don't have any special physical abilities. If Diabolic actually got a shot at me, I'd have been a goner.
だからこそ
That's why I asked Dolly to swap. He seems unlikely to die, even if directly targeted. Then again, I also thought Rowdy would turn out fine. Oh. So wait. The game actually addressed what we were talking about earlier. He literally asked Doleful because Doleful was the lowest risk option. And then he overestimated Rowdy. Anyone dead yet? Oh yeah. Several are dead. Well, that sucks. That sucks for Rowdy. I actually really, I feel like I was warming up to Rowdy, so...
まさかヤマト君が
A damn shame she covered for him and got snuffed out for her trouble. Workaholic really ought to respect the sanctity of life more, eh?
命を大事に扱ってほしいもの
Are you serious? Or are you just trying to make me angry?
本気さ
Oh, I'm serious. I wanted Rowdy to live, but at the same time, I'm truly grateful to her. A shining example of detectivedom to the end. Rowdy Detective fulfilled her life's purpose with flying colors, and that's it. All that's left is for us, who were with her to the end, to tell her story.
話を続けていけばそれでいいんだ
人の命を何だと思っ
Is
てるん
that
だ
all human lives are to you? If you'd stopped him, Rowdy would... She'd still be...
はい無能
Guess
さん
that's enough,
ここまで
incompetent.
けどちゃん
Now we're on the
道中
move.
くらいはそのおしゃべりの
How
時間
about
を
you
お
give
休
that
みさせな
bagging
さい
tongue of yours a rest, Renegade? Talk again soon,
また話
incompetence.
そうね
My guard relaxes as Gourmet, true to her nature, intervenes once again. Renegade always manages to trip me up, and I feel pathetic about it every time. Yeah, I also think Gourmet is the next killer. Gourmet told Renegade to be quiet because she also might have been involved in the kidnappings. Also, she's Russian, and Russian characters in video games are almost always evil. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But Gourmet is able to keep her calm, even while facing someone who was involved in Rowdy's death, albeit indirectly. She really is incredible. Thanks, Gourmet, really. I appreciate you stepping in like that. Her neck is really unusual. I'm remembering that Fail called her a giraffe, and I just lost it. And I can't stop looking at how oddly suspended her head is because her neck is so long. Anyways, it was Fail. Fail is fucking brilliant. Oh, hey, Armin. She's got a Hot Springs Camilla neck. That's not. I should be the one thanking you. It was you, not me, who ended up avenging Rowdy after all. We didn't avenge anybody, actually. He escaped. She's a Rock'em Sock'em robot. I remember those things. Wait, Junpei and Yosuke also have long necks? What? Well, I don't know, Nano. Because the shoulders still seem like they're too far below the head. Because, like, I'm looking at my shoulders, and I'm like, okay, my head is literally right here, not like... Zoop! Gourmet's hand trembles slightly when she touches me. When I look closer, I spot tears in her eyes. Thanks for sticking up for Rowdy just now, incompetent. Sorry, I haven't been any help. She wipes her eyes with her handkerchief, and in an instant, she's back to her usual, unflappable, beaming self. Why does she have those goggles? Is she a skier? This is a very contemplative song. I feel like this is a good time to go make another drink. I'm sure the neck is plot relevant. Anyways, I'll be right back.
Where are you? Hurry, hurry! Her guests are about to arrive! Do you understand? We're way behind schedule. Typical degenerate male.
Alright, I heard screaming while I was in there. It's to hide the fact that she's a snake who will devour her enemies. Thing is, with the goggles part, you see the neck, that it doesn't make much sense. Yeah, I think the neck is just extremely long. As a matter of fact, if you look through the goggles, there's something that looks like her neck. It looks like her neck extends all the way to her boobs. I really can't unsee that. Okay, 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 stop looking at it, stop looking at it, stop looking at it. Watch it be... Kuroi, I can't. I posted their necks in Discord. Wait, why did you do that? Oh no! I'm actually really curious now. Oh, you posted... Junpei's neck is insane! Wait! Is drawing necks, like... Is it super hard? I heard hands are hard to draw. But, like... Okay.
必ず生きてここから出ましょうね。
I promise we'll make it out of here alive, in the name of everyone who's died.
分まで
Yeah. We've lost another friend, but we can't stop now. Those mysterious SPX sentry mechs, the sprawling underground maze, the secret police who built it, and the diabolic detective who kidnapped me. Stop looking through the goggles, Lisa. If you continue to do so, you're just going to upset yourself. Yeah, the next just looks insane. Hey, Kevin. Is it hard to accurately draw someone's neck? Alright. Well, next time she shows up on the game, we'll have to show Kevin. I didn't put it in a bowl yet. Do you want to just throw some in a bowl and then put it back in the fridge and then you just take the rest? Oh. Oh. Well. You invited trouble, Kevin. If you're not taking the pot, just leave it. We got an S. I would just like to say 100%. We got all the things, and we contributed maximum, so we're definitely slaying. Yeah, Workaholic isn't dead. Which means he could be the Quartering Duke. He's not the Quartering Duke. He's Diabolic Detective. That's a lot of weird information, isn't it? I don't know. Anyways. Greetings from... You see that, Rosen? You see that, Rosen? That's my gamer score going up, okay? I'm getting closer to greatness. Anyways. Ah! How dare you appropriately Isadora me? Okay. Greetings from the darkest corners of the web. 'Tis I, the Quartering Duke, Queen of Cyberspace. Did you just gender yourself? By my salad? Today, I have an important topic for all of you young ones across the country. To be precise, it is time we discussed workaholics. What do you imagine when you hear the word workaholic? Surely nothing positive, yes? But as they say, even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. Therefore, being a workaholic is not necessarily a bad thing. Take my dearest friend, Uncle Workaholic. He had no purpose in life before he began pencil pushing. He couldn't even sleep, haunted by past traumas. Upon finding work at an unethical company, his life turned around. Every day, he'd come home dog-tired and sleep without a second to spare for the past. In other words, some among us find inner peace through the practice of being a workaholic. All this acting like a proper lady is too much effort and way too boring. Enough of this. Look, the point is that Uncle Workaholic got by without having to dwell on his worries and woes after becoming a workaholic. So you might want to think about if it's really worth it to have so much free time to yourself. Understood? I'm talking to you, got it? Day in and day out, 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 day in and day out. I'm talking to you, and your daily stream of worries and woes. I mean, prime suspects. Definitely I thought the same thing. Moderately thought the same thing. I would be shocked, appalled, and kind of pissed. That's it. So that literally narrows it down to Ghost Friend, Posh, and Gourmet. But if it's her, then she's inside this one. Okay. Yeah, I think she staged her death. I hella think she staged it. We proceed down the hidden passageway in pursuit of Workaholic. As we do, I notice a clear change in our surroundings. There's another path! When did this happen? We're all detectives an old hand around here. I'm sure he could handle opening and closing a few secret paths.
僕を迷宮に連れ出した時に
He might have used this passage when he brought me into the labyrinth too. Let's go and keep an eye out for traps. We proceeded with caution down this new route that appeared at the end of the passage the white SPX emerged from. I then realized that I've naturally taken up leading the group.
なぜ庶民
Why
さん
are
あな
we
たが
allowing
先
a
行なんです
commoner to lead us?
本来でしたら
Obviously, it
リー
is
ダーであ
I,
る
our
私が立つ
chief,
べきですのに
should be taking the spot where you now stand. But think about what our tiny chief here has accomplished so far. Isn't incompetent the one who exposed downtown and workaholic?
社畜探偵を
Well, you see,
そんなこと
I really don't care either way. There could be traps, so watch your step. I step between Posh and Renegade, interrupting their discussion. Our group can't rest for even a second without arguing. If only Workaholic were here to mediate, the thought of his estrangement makes me sigh. Including Senior Detective, there were 14 Detective Alliance members here. Now we're at 8, whittled down to nearly half. I refuse to lose any more of my companions. We can't afford to lose anyone. Yeah, honestly though, Nano, I would have been mad if they chose to keep downtown alive / work with her because of how unhinged she was. Like, I feel like the writing would just be bad. You're really starting to look like a detective now. These ordeals have truly made you stronger.
僕なんてまだまだですよ
I still have a long way to go. If you hadn't spoken up back when Workaholics snapped at me, I wouldn't have known what to do. Plus, I want to get stronger. Strong enough to protect everyone. Far, far stronger.
君ならなれるさ
Inescapable! If anyone can do it, it's you. I, the world's greatest detective, will vouch for that. After we continue
Yeah.
conversing, a light shines at the end of the passage. Then we cross through it. Despite having already shared my story, the others' eyes grow wide at the extraordinary sight.
すごいね
Wow!
まるで
It's
何
like
かの
some
遺跡
sort of
みたいだ
lost ruin.
この壁に土臭い空気
These mirrors
我が修
smell
行していた洞
earthy.
窟を思い
They
出すの
call
で
to
ある
mind the cavern where I perform my ascetic training.
この壁
These
ここ
walls,
数十年で
they
作られた
weren't
もの
made
で
in
はありま
recent
せんね
times. I'd require
詳
a
しく調べてみ
detailed
なければわかりませんが
analysis, but at first
少なくとも
glance they appear to be
100
over
年以上は
100
前
years
に
old.
作られた
100年以上も昔
100 years old. Why would an underground tunnel like this be created in the first place?
カルデラ信仰
Perhaps it was used by a caldera religion, asked the girl, mentioning some past knowledge she had encountered in the past.
カルデラ信仰何なんで
A
すか
caldera religion even? What's that? Ugh, you really are so clueless. This place is practically awash with
私た
mountains,
ちのあれ
remember?
は
That's because the entire island is
巨
what
大な火
remains
山の
of a
噴
major
火跡だからで
eruption.
す
Such volcanic activity leaves such large
まるで隕
depressions,
石でも落
like
下したみたいに
fallen
巨大そ
meteorites.
の構造を
The resulting formation is known as caldera. The kind-hearted girl explained gently to the ignorant and
無知で
pathetic,
情けない
incompetent
頭脳探
detective.
偵に
言われてみればこの島で目覚めた時波の音は
Now that you mention it, when I woke up on this island, I could hear the waves, but I never saw the ocean. I get it now. It's because I was walled in on all sides. It's a manner of speaking. Wait, but the manor is built on a mountain, right in the center, right? Isn't it strange that
火山の噴火跡なのに
for that to
中央に
be
山が
on
で
an
きるのは
island
おかしくないかな
made by a volcanic eruption?
実はあの山も火山らしいわよ。それ
Hey,
もほんの数
apparently
十年前
that
に噴火した
mountain
ばかりのね。
is also a volcano, one that just erupted a few decades ago. Elongated neck Chan is back. Did we all get our fill? This place was built on something that dangerous? I didn't even know you could have a volcano inside a volcano.
カルデラの中でもう一
Yep,
度噴火が
another eruption occurred
世にも珍しい
within the caldera,
カルデラね
creating a rare double caldera. I've traveled the world, but this is only the second one I've seen.
こういった島では
You can cook so much with the geothermal energy inside these islands produce. It's an epicure's dream. I wonder if this maze has something I can cook.
年中腹ペコおばさんの話
Moving on past the endlessly hungry old bag, caldera formations on islands like these often become an object of worship in many places,
この島は
especially
カルデラが
those
二
with
重
a
に
double
極
caldera.
めて珍しい
Former inhabitants would have seen it as a divine abode, so it's only natural they'd leave traces behind.
国から弾圧を受
It's
けた
not
宗教
uncommon
の
to
信
hear
者
stories of religious devotees fleeing to uninhabited islands to form villages in the face of governmental
も
oppression.
しかしたらこの
These
島は
ruins could have functioned
元々この
both
島に
as
住ん
a
でいた
holy
人たち
ground
に
for the
神
original
聖な遺跡
islanders,
であると
as well as a hiding spot for
有事の際に
emergencies.
有事の際
Emergencies? Like for when the government hunted them down. You know how it goes, don't you?
昔から異教徒は殺せ
Wait, what does that mean? Death to heretics and all that.
ちょっとあなたたち
What are you
何を
blathering
容疑
on
を
about
しています
now?
の
This is why I find the
こんなの興味は嫌な
hoi
のですが。
polloi so utterly detestable.
そんなにガンガン前に進ま
You
ない方がい
probably
いんじゃ
shouldn't charge on ahead like that, Posh. Remember how many traps there were in the manor? That's the subpart traps in this maze will be laughably simple to avoid for one so gifted with upper-class intellect as myself.
さっさと攻略して
Now, full
シャ
speed
ツ
ahead.
探偵を捕まえ
Follow
ますわ
my
よ
lead and let us capture that dastardly workaholic detective.
待ってください
No, wait. I try to stop her, but she runs ahead into the passageway alone. Disappearing around the bend, this maze isn't as easy to traverse as she thinks. How do you say it, Lisa? Hoi polloi. I thought we were about to denouement, Posh dying. The OI makes an E sound, as in like, or eh? Pali. But just as I'm about to shout out to her,
いやーなんでこいつがおりますの
what is this monstrosity doing here? Pasha's desperate, panicked cry reverberates through the labyrinth. She then shoots out from the corner she had just disappeared behind. And right behind her is a white SPX. The SPX presses forward with a mechanical whir. Before my brain can process anything, I shout out a command.
科学音声の解析をお願い
Becky, analyze that sound! Oh, leave it to me!
任せてくださいよし呼び
Okay,
か
I've
けました
analyzed it. The hint this time is, do not cross this bridge.
この橋
どこかで聞き覚え
I've
のあ
heard
る
that
フレ
phrase
ーズ
somewhere before.
童話の一休さん
It's from a Japanese tale where the word bridge is purposely misconstrued as edge. Hit the center hole, said the girl, rapidly decoding the riddle.
了解よ
Roger that. Time to dig in for a second helping with my trusty knife.
待って美食さん
Wait, Gourmet, I sense danger. This SPX is definitely armed with deadly weaponry.
僕が家族さんに
Armor,
代わってお
I'll
頼
swap
み
with
だから
Posh and act as a decoy. Can you use that time to stop this thing?
勝手に承知だ
Verily, my good man.
ヒジャクさん
Doleful, what are you planning to
ヒジャ
do?
クさんはそのまま
Posh, keep running and get behind armor.
こっちだよバカ
Over here, you bucket of bolts. Doful tosses pebbles at the SPX, running sideways as he waves at it. The SPX then appears to switch targets from Posh, swiveling around to chase after Doleful. I'm sorry I called you that! The SPX bears down relentlessly on Doleful, aiming for its unprotected flank. Armor tackles the SPX with all of his might. He then pushes it all the way to the wall, pinning it in his grasp.
捕まえたぞ
Got it! I don't sense any threats. Now's your chance, Gourmet!
はいお粗末様
Now
です
here's a dish to die for. Gourmet closes the gap in a flash, sliding next to the SPX, sticking her knife into the central hole of its exterior. The SPX's resistance steadily wanes, just like back in the dungeon. Its inner electrical cable must have been severed. Armor doesn't release his hold on the SPX until it stops twitching. He finally lets go and steps away from the machine.
やった
We did it! You're all
すごいですよ
fantastic!
皆さん
無能さんがすぐに指
That
示
was
を出
because
し
of
て
your
くれた
swift
おか
commands
げで
and
すよ
competent. Thanks to you, I was able to start analyzing the
僕
sound
は
without
迷わず
delay.
に
無能にしては
I'd say you did well for someone so competent, as it were, said the girl, sharing her honest impression.
いやそんな
No, it was no big deal. I was freaking out too.
とっさに最適
The
な
fact that you were able to give such optimal orders in a pinch proves that you have the qualities of a good chief.
それに
Not to mention, the way Techie followed your instructions without hesitation shows how much he trusts you. This is the fruit of all your labors. You should give yourself a pat on the back.
美食さんの言う通
Gourmet
りだ
is
よ
absolutely right. You saved me so many times now, incompetent. I'd like to thank you with all my heart. Your orders are so precise, it almost makes me think you can predict the future. Obviously, I'm not going to admit his hunch is the truth, so instead I give him the only thing I can. A strained laugh.
私
Well,
庶民とのリーダーシップの差が
we all just saw the vast difference a commoner's leadership offers, wouldn't you agree?
お黙りなさい
Silence, you!
どう飛躍君
How's it going, Doleful? Anything unusual here?
大丈夫
No, this
この
room
部屋は
seems
安
safe.
全そうだよ
Come on,
みんなも
everyone.
入ってきてでも残念な
That
こと
would
に
be
行き止まりだ
interesting
ね
if Posh
また
came
別
for
の
us.
道を探さない
Though
と
unfortunately it's a dead end. We'll have to look for another route. Huh? After exiting the intricate passageway, we find ourselves in a closed-off square room. It's identical to the one I was in before making my way back to the dungeon half a day ago, save for one significant change.
おかしいな
That's weird. Last time I was in this room, there were open paths on all four sides.
全く同じ見た目の部屋が
There
いく
could
つ
be
も
any
あるのか
number
も
of
しれない
rooms in this place that look the same.
来た証拠に
Let's mark
壁
a
のどこか
wall
に
so
マークを
we
つけて
know
お
we've
こう
been
か
here, just in case.
よーし
Verily, I shall carve the Detective Alliance's emblem in full splendor right here. What ho? Sir Incompetent, might I ask you to come hither? There are strange characters engraved into the wall near armor.
見たことない文字
I've never seen writing like this. What strange language could this be?
私の知る限り世界中のどの
As far as I can tell, they don't match any known script from any era of humanity, said the girl, cross-referencing with her own recollection.
文学さんの知識量で
If
も
even
読み解けな
Bookworm
いと
doesn't
いう
have
こと
any
は
insight on these characters, then in all probability it's either an original language or a
もし
cipher.
かしたら
どうしてこんなところに暗号
Why
が
would a cipher be left here?
さすがは庶民
Typical plebeian,
あまりにも
as
鈍いですわね
alarmingly dense as
無
ever.
能さんあなたが前に
The
この部
last
屋
time
を
you were
訪れ
here
た際は
incompetent,
四
the
方
path
に道が
continued
続
in
いていた
four
のでしょ
directions, yes?
ええそうですよ
That's right. It's why I had a hard time deciding which way to go to get back to you.
見てごらんなさい
Now pay attention. Upon closer inspection, you spy the faint indentations on all four walls.
おそらくあの切れ込みは壁が動作することを
As they
示すもの
they likely indicate that each wall can be moved. As such, performing some action should cause the paths you previously saw to reappear.
そして武装さんが見つけた暗号こそ
This
が
cipher
開
that
通の
Armor
鍵に
found
違いあ
is
り
the
ませ
key
ん
to
わ
opening them.
先へ進むにはこの暗
Beyond
号
a
を解
doubt,
く必要
we
があるので
must
す
solve it in order to proceed.
なるほど
I see. This labyrinth is feeling more and more like something out of a movie. Posh's theory may be right on the mark. Workaholic was in league with whoever confined me in the dungeon, as well as this labyrinth all those years ago. How'd he'd know how to work the hidden passages? If he sealed the way behind him to shake us off, that explains why the room looks different this time. Workaholic must have closed the passages. We gotta solve this puzzle quick if we're gonna keep up with it. Leave it to me. On the honor of the Pinkerton name, I shall make short work of this cipher. This is getting interesting. I wonder if it'll really be so easy. We can't pursue Workaholic unless we solve the cipher. Gotta figure it out somehow. The boxes around each section indicate that they're 1 unit each, right? Yeah, that makes sense, but something's off about it. Off how? This is probably a made-up language with its own rules and everything, but right now, I can't even figure out a single one of them. There are a few shared elements, but they appear in the characters, upper and lower segments of both, with no pattern, said the girl, to her own dismay. So, Bookworm's powers of recollection came to the same conclusion as me. I tried to make sense of the commonalities too, but it feels almost random. That being said, things would hurry along nicely if Posh Detective could solve this for us. Sweet, said the girl with a sardonic smirk. It's fine. If we all work together on this, Posh included, of course, I'm sure we can figure it out. Several hours later, we're still studying the cipher on the wall. Each of us tried to deduce the script, but we still don't have even the slightest clue. Things have been on the move non-stop since Rowdy's murder this morning, and everybody is exhausted. My forehead is streaming perspiration. I'm sorry, incompetent. I'm gonna take a little break. It seems it is oddly warm in here. Pre-adventure, is it is all in my mind? No, it's getting hot for me too. I wonder why. The dungeon was chilly, but this underground labyrinth is strangely humid. Maybe there's a heater or something. It feels like a sauna set to mid. If we push ourselves too hard, we could end up collapsing from heat stroke. To think the cipher so lowly, a cipher so lowly could stymie the air of the Pinkerton name. Only Posh manages to still maintain her composure. She's been glaring at the cipher in this heat for hours without even wiping the sweat off her brow. Posh, how about taking a break? You've been drenched in sweat this whole time. Oh, push tush! Then I say I shall solve. When I say I shall solve a cipher, I mean it. What strained determination makes me tingle and all, but I'm gonna have to take a breather. Wouldn't want to shave any years off my life. As Renegade Detective sits on the floor, all the other detectives, aside from Posh, follow suit, looking completely and utterly spent. Posh frowns in consternation at everyone else's behavior. Refusing to take a seat, she continues staring at the cipher. Do as you will. Unlike you common rabble, I have an aspiration I aim to fulfill. To think that I could be stalled here, I simply must find a way out alive. Useless old hag, said the girl with more than a hint of cynicism. Don't say that. Posh is doing the best she can. I shut down Bookworm's comment and moved her far away from Posh so that her voice is out of earshot. You're too kind, incompetent detective. Selfish crones like her deserve a good clobbering, said the girl, hefting her weapon of choice.
かましちゃダメ
No clobbering allowed. And put down your book. Using that to hit people is just messed up. No good adults always say no, 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 no. That's you right now, said the girl, making a reference most kids would find obscure. Why does she care so much about her pride anyway? I can't comprehend it, said the girl, voicing a curiosity she's held for some time. She's gonna bonk them to death. She has a good point. I've been wondering the same. Tasha's demeanor makes it clear she comes from a prestigious lineage. Why then would she willingly choose to expose herself to the dangers of being a detective? It doesn't make any sense. I want your big sis to share what she knows with you, in secret of course. Gourmet draws close to Bookworm as she makes her offer. We both nod so Posh won't overhear, after which Gourmet begins speaking, her eyes distant. Do you know about the Pinkerton Agency? Well, mostly just from books and movies, but yeah. Yeesh, sighed the girl before taking the reins from the clueless incompetent detective and explaining the details. Renowned Pinkerton National Detective Agency, founded by Alan Pinkerton, who rose to prominence after preventing a presidential assassination. Their myriad achievements include presidential security, unmasking spies, surveying those who oppose the state, hunting criminals, and more. It must be an amazing organization if even presidents trust them. No wonder Posh is so proud. Yes, but those accomplishments are the results of them infiltrating the public on government orders to ruthlessly track down those deemed suspicious. That is why they're portrayed as villains in so many works. Evidently, the menacing image people had of them at the time was deeply rooted. For better or worse, this historic organization shaped the perception of the detective profession. That is the Pinkerton Agency's legacy. That's exactly right. Can't not mention the Pinkertons when it comes to discussing detective history. Those stories are way in the past, though. The agency's fame was slowly forgotten, and today it operates as an acquisition of a security company. What? Really? I guess even famous detective agencies can end up taking a dive. As modernization continued, intelligence work was outlawed, and police grew more robust. The state then cut ties with the publicly shunned agency. One theory suggests that the FBI was actually modeled after the Pinkerton Agency. Ironic how they did their utmost for their nation to great acclaim, only to be cast aside, said the girl, sympathetic toward the former heroes. I'm not here to argue whether they were heroes or villains, but the fact remains that they solved many, many crimes. It's tragic how that fact's been forgotten. Posh said she grew up on tales of those bygone deeds. I can't even imagine how much it hurts her. That's why she decided to come to Japan to found a detective agency of her own. She's working hard to restore the Pinkerton name. Posh believes detectives are needed now more than ever, especially with the crime rate rising here. The crime rate rising yearly since the Dayless Night incident. Being ranked number 5 isn't just for show. She's worked desperately to carry the illustrious Pinkerton name on her shoulders. That's the kind of girl Posh is. I think I agree, Nano. Posh is getting a lot of screen time. And attention. The desperation makes perfect sense, seeing as she's fighting for her own survival, said the girl, regretting her flippant remarks. If she dies, her dream of restoring her family's honor dies too. I glance at Posh from the side and spot traces of tears on her face. Normally, this would just make her seem tough, but now I think she looks like she's striving to overcome a hidden bitterness. Staring at her from this angle, I'm somehow reminded of Workaholics after he revealed his true colors. He was ever He was even known as Diabolic Detective. What could have driven him to bloody his hands as a killer once again? He hasn't told us why yet, but it seems like he's grappling with a heavy weight of his own. Like Posh, there must be something he seeks to accomplish, even if it means committing murder. I mean, he kidnapped children and had experiments performed on them. That's pretty fucking bad. The pride of a distinguished family. What's it like bearing the responsibility of an entire organization like that? Right now, I don't have any grand convictions or resolutions. There's no way I could ever be like Posh. But there is something I can do.
事情は分かったんですが、
Well, I understood her circumstances now. Isn't she a bit too worn out and unreliable to be like the head of a
少女に
company?
率直な疑問を
The girl asked bluntly. Not quite. Apparently, she normally investigates with colleagues who idolize her, so maybe she's a bit out of her element working on her
一人
own.
では本領を発揮できないのかもしれないわね。
Oh. So wait, does she just take credit for other people doing her job and that's why she sucks? In that case, I'll go and help her out.
無能ちゃん
Incompetent? I rush over to Posh, unable to take it anymore. My sudden approach startles Posh,
Fit to survive.
who blinks at me with a look of astonishment.
何の用ですの
What do you think you're doing? I will not permit my noble self to be sullied by the aid of a commoner. Go rest with the others. It's exactly because you're a noble that you should be putting commoners like me to use. What? Isn't it the duty of the upper class to lead the masses? If there's a riddle you can't solve on your own, you should play the part of our chief and command me to investigate. Posh tilts her head in befuddlement. What in summary are you proposing exactly? Look, let me help spare the Pinkerton name from being soiled. As a matter of fact, having others assist you is what a true Pinkerton would do. Oh, yes, I see. Posh looks unsure, her head still tilted to one side. But after a moment, she smacks her hand with a sense of determination, flashing her usual prideful smile. Quite right. Spot on even. Failing to delegate to commoners. Why, I ought to be disowned from the Pinkerton household for this behavior. Well, incompetent, are you prepared to obey my commands and solve this riddle? Posh's laughter echoes loudly across the room. Suffice it to say, she's back to her normal self.
調子が良すぎませんか
Useless detective? That's not. She is kind of useless, though. She seems a little too satisfied about this, said the girl, sighing in exasperation.
落ち込むのも早いけど立ち直るのは
No matter how quickly she gets discouraged, she always bounces right back. That's Posh's specialty. Well, ready to get back to it ourselves? I'm not about to let one little cipher serve me a slice of humble pie. An odd little jingle awakens me with a jolt. Yeah, it's giving ice cream truck. Once my mind is fully booted up, I see the cipher route we arrived in last night. My D-pad says it's 7 a.m. That melody must have been set to play so we don't lose track of time. We've been underground for several days now. It's nice to have something that keeps my body's rhythm from getting askew. Oh, have they been eating?
おはようワト君
Good morning, Watto. I take it you were burning the midnight oil yesterday. Yeah, I must have fallen asleep while we were staring at the cipher. I vaguely recall where we left off. We seemed to be getting closer, but couldn't quite hit on the solution. After I started to help out Posh, the others finished resting up and joined in. We then spent most of the night discussing the cipher. Bookworm found some partial regularities, but they didn't apply to the entire text, so we have yet to piece things all together. Even Holmes has been racking her brain about this, saying she's never seen anything like it. Morning, incompetent. Sorry. Yes, I ended up falling asleep too. Self-proclaimed chief is also snoring away, so don't fret, said the girl, pointing out the plebeian manner in which Posh Detective slept. Posh sits on the ground, her face turned toward the cipher, as though she's trying to read it in her sleep. Even when passed out, she still has her head in the game. Talk about dedication. A laugh escapes from my mouth at the sight of it. She looks pretty tired, so let's leave her be for now. Right, maybe we can solve it while she's asleep and surprise her. And we will do it all in the glorious Pinkerton name, said the girl with a sarcastic chuckle. We resume working on the cipher, chatting away as we go. And while we do... Come on, split the cake! Half for you, half for me. You're so upper class. Why don't you each just get your own cakes? Your true self is peeking out. Splitting cake, huh? Pinkertons really have fallen on hard times. But why have a cake to begin with if... Suddenly I noticed something. Huh? We were grouping the characters by squares, but are we sure that's really the right way to separate them? Oh! I think if you divide each square in half, you can find the same thing on another square. Although the ones that look like backwards Fs, I don't see that anywhere else. Maybe even quarters. Although... What do you mean? I don't see how else we could do it. I understand. You're saying to split each character in half, said the girl, putting incompetent detective's notion into words. Bookworm picks up a pebble and scratches lines across the characters on the wall. The lines look like thresholds, partitioning the boxes down the middle. The divisions are too neat for it to be a simple coincidence. Stop hiccuping! Oh, I get it now. So all the characters are meant to be divided horizontally. Yeah, I believe there were actually 2 characters per box all along, but our preconceptions blinded us to it. I see. That explains those partial patterns we saw. If we'd only noticed this sooner, we could have solved it already. The irregularities should be easy to spot now. There's no time to lose, so let's begin. The girl said as she set to work on the cipher. And less than an hour later, pulled down the head, So if we press the first and last
この
box,
始めと終わりの四角形を同時に押し込めば
is it almost time for prosopagnosia? Wait. Are you asking about Danganronpa? She presses her fingers on the boxes at the ends of the writing on the wall, upon which surrounds walls, starting to change. Yeah, we'll be switching over soon. The walls shift, revealing several new passages. Looks like she had the right idea. After spending so much time deciphering this, the group can't resist high-fiving one another. What was that racket? An ambush? Are we under attack? Posh, who had always been asleep up until now, leaps up, her eyes darting around the room. It's safe to assume she has no idea that she helped us to decode the cipher by sleep talking.
おはよう家族さん。あなたのおかげで暗号が解けましたよ。
Good morning, Posh. We managed to solve the riddle, thanks to you. Thanks to me? We all burst out laughing as she stares agape at the newly opened passage, her head cocked in bewilderment. How do they know which one to go? We leave the cipher room and continue on our way, but the nearly identical passage just keeps going on with no end in sight. On top of that, something that's been nagging at the back of my mind is starting to become a central issue. Hey, Armor. How are we doing on water? At our current pace, we have enough to sustain us for one more day.
逆に言えば
So what you mean is, we only have 1 day's worth left. In this heat, that's gonna be a serious
それはと
problem.
ても
Heat is definitely plaguing us here. It was present from the beginning and is only steadily growing worse. It's like being in a volcanic rock sauna. We've been strict with how we rationed our water, but now even that once hefty supply is under threat. At this rate, it's the temperature, not the quartering tooth, that's going to kill us all.
おそらくこの暑
This
さは
must
溶
be
岩の熱による
geothermal
もの
energy that's being
この
emitted
体
by
を
the
抜けれ
volcanic
ば
rock.
楽になるはず
Things
です
should get better once we make it past this stratum.
だけどもう数時間
But
も
we've
同
been
じところ
going
を
around
ぐる
in
ぐる回
circles
ってい
for
る
hours, haven't we?
ほら
See?
さっき見た
That's the
印
mark
に
we saw earlier.
一体
What do we do now? Renegade Detective's right. This is the umpteenth time we've passed through here. We've tried every fork in the path, but each of them has been a dead end.
地下牢に研究棟のエレベーターの鍵があっ
We
たよ
found that key for the research facility elevator is in the dungeon, right? So we can at least assume we're headed in that direction.
確かにその通りです
That may be true. I recall the path towards Snarks being blocked by a wall, making it a blind alley, said the girl, sharing her recollection. So all roads led to nowhere, huh? Bookworm, do you know any other ways of getting through mazes besides the left-hand rule? Worm shakes her head ruefully. The left-hand rule is an ancient maze-solving method where one keeps their left hand on a wall as they proceed. We tried it at the start when the labyrinth began to confuse us, but we just ended up back where we started, making it entirely pointless. This is just like the tomb in Final Fantasy VIII, where the brothers are, and as a kid I didn't know you could pull up the map. So I had to use a method like this because I'm a genius. If even Bookworm lacks any useful information to get us through this place, then we really are trapped.
もしかしたら
Maybe there aren't any exits at all right now.
出口がない。
None whatsoever? How does that work?
どういう
僕らが見落としている仕
Might
掛
have
けがある
overlooked
のかもしれ
something.
ない
The
よ
SPX and the cipher both provided hints, right? This maze is probably the same. There has to be a clue somewhere. I feel like the point here isn't to make us get lost, but to give us a riddle to solve. A clue, huh? But there's nothing written on the walls, so where could it be? Everyone hide! Stoffel suddenly panics, urging us to take cover behind some pillars. We all understand it's an emergency and immediately follow his orders. ears pick up something resembling a
Target's a
whisper,
target.
causing me to shiver. I've heard this before.
何も見えないのに
That was a weird noise, but I can't see anything.
静か
Quiet down. It's an invisible SPX.
みんな慌てず
Everyone stay calm and don't
音
make
を
a
出さ
sound.
ないよう気をつけて
The grim tone in my voice snuffs out any potential objection from the others. As we sit in the shadows of the pillars, we hear a mechanical whir that all of us recognize by this point. I can faintly discern a shape as the air distorts around it. Without a doubt, it's the invisible SPX I encountered last time. I don't know what'll happen if we're caught, but getting drawn into a fight and wasting our energy would be worse than bad. Our only option is to hold our breaths and pray it doesn't find us. Somehow the SPX doesn't notice us and departs. What a dangerous machine. This thing makes the white SPX look friendly by comparison. The only silver lining is that the SPX's capacity to detect targets is rather poor.
無能さん先ほどの
Incompetent,
機
I
械音を
recorded the
録
sound
音で
that
きました
machine was making just now. Let
音
me
声解
analyze
析
it.
してみますね
That techie begins working his magic, and as he finishes,
これは
what do you suppose this
どういう
means?
意味
The hint techie uncovers is incredibly big.
セオリーは捨てよ
Discard your
セオ
theories.
リーは捨てよ
セオリーは
Discard your theories. It's not enough to go on. I can't tell what it's trying to say. Maybe it's a clue on how to stop that thing, like the white SPX.
文学ちゃん
Any
何か
ideas,
わかりそう
Bookworm?
ピンときませんね
Not a one.
これまで
Oh,
読んできた
not a
書
one.
籍の
I've
中に
seen similar phrases in what I've read, but nothing that's applicable to our investigation, said the girl with frustration.
文学さんがわか
If
らないと
Bookworm
なる
doesn't
と
know, then this hint probably isn't based on anything specific. Judging from its behavior just now, its target sensing abilities are lacking. We should be able to avoid detection if we don't get too close.
よしじゃあ先へ進もうか
Okay, then let's keep going. It'll be real trouble if that SPX comes back. Pull ourselves together and set out once more, but at that moment, Doleful lets out a cry of distress. So sorry, everyone. I sensed it too late.
どうしたの
What's wrong, Doleful? Is an SPX nearby?
違うそこ
Nearby? No, it's right there. Really?
まさか
Doleful points directly in front of me? I hear the same robotic droning coming from what appears to be an empty space. I'm practically face to face with it, even though the SPX from a minute ago should have passed by already. My hammering heart deafens me. I can't see a thing. I have no idea what I'm up against. The mechanical noise continues without pause, like a hand on a clock, counting down the remaining seconds of my life. Everyone freezes in place. It's the only option. We know nothing about the SPX before us, or how it'll react to any action we take. Maybe nothing will happen so long as we stay still. I have no other choice but to hold on to this hope. That hope quickly is crushed. Blades I've seen before suddenly spring up in the empty space. No matter how invisible it is, the killing intent remains clear. It's so overwhelming that by the time I try to dodge, I'm too late. Then a blade descends toward me.
無能探偵
Competent detective! I hear Bookworm's trembling voice, and yet at this moment, I find myself surprisingly calm. After all, the zoom-in never predicted my death. If I didn't see myself die, that means this won't kill me. I'm certain that he'll come to my rescue.
伏せてくれ無能
Get
ども
down, sir, incompetent!
ありがとう服装
Thanks,
さん
Armor. As I predicted, Armor leaps in front of me. He deflects the SPX's blade with his right arm, using his hand to grasp at the wiry parts that controlled it.
黒い SPX
It is but a flea bite compared to the black SPX. Thy armor shall not yield to so feeble a slash. Armor presses on, flinging the SPX against the wall with incredible power. Sure, maybe the invisible SPX has a weaker output than the white one, but even then, Armor's strength is tremendous. Good job, Ideal! Where's the QT? Hey ho! Let us now cease its functions! As Armor approaches his fallen opponent, the air flickers where there had once been nothing. This must be the true form of the invisible SPX. How exceedingly bizarre! It hath revealed itself. Perchance it was moved by my chivalry enough to forbear its knavish tricks. Actually, I think it's just broken. The 3 holes on its exterior are now visible. If it's designed like the white SPX, one of them will deactivate it. But we don't know which one. It's fine. I've already figured out its weak point. With that, Gourmet approaches the SPX, brandishing her knife at the holes on the exterior. In the blink of an eye, she puts the SPX out of commission. So what are we gonna do next chapter when Gourmet is dead? Ooh, this little troublemaker might have been slower than the white one, but it still made me nervous. That really worked up an appetite. Gourmet, how did you know which hole to pick? Yeah, pray tell. I thought we had yet to ravel out this conundrum. While the SPX went after you, Teki analyzed the sound it made, but it was the same as the other invisible SPX. Discard your theories. They both had the same message? That's weird. The white SPX we've encountered so far each had their own phrase. And those ones were giving us hints on how to defeat them. Strange, isn't it? Hoi day! Discard your theories. Distinctive series. Disposing of sinking. Dismiss your thinking. Perchance, the hint means we are to destroy the invisible SPX through brute force? Sorry, Armor. Oh, sorry, Armor, but let's try to be serious here. Actually, dismissing our thoughts was crucial. Wait, what? To think my conception was the earnest truth. Could this be a sign of the end of times? Armor's actual conclusion is completely off the mark, of course. The big takeaway here is that the invisible SPX didn't have a real hint. In other words, we don't need any hints for these little invisible fellas. They weren't designed with only one correct hole to hit. No hint required, no right hole to aim for, so basically we could defeat it regardless of which way we attacked. Precisely, we're already unable to see it, so there's no need to go through all the trouble of having false holes as decoys. I didn't have any proof of that, so it was a little nerve-wracking, but I'm relieved it all turned out fine. I performed a basic analysis of the invisible SPX's inner workings. All 3 holes connect directly to the power cord, just as Gourmet suggested. In short, so long as you can locate the hole, you can stop it easily, said the girl, relaxing now that she knew the irksome machine's vulnerability. Teki and Bookworm finished reporting in. Their findings confirm what Gourmet told us. There's no difference between the 3 holes. If Gourmet is right, any SPX that plays this hint will have the same weakness. Her deductive prowess never fails to amaze me. However, one question still remains. You weren't entirely sure your theory was correct though, right? Yup, I had no evidence to back up my reasoning. You really went for it then. Oh, you could have died if you got it wrong. Gourmet's beaming smile turns plaintive. At that moment, all I could think about was how Rowdy wouldn't have hesitated. Oh. You're right. She'd never given it a second thought. She'd risked it all. Especially if it meant saving her friends. Without a doubt. I made a vow to protect everyone. That includes doing Rowdy's share of the work. So whenever there's trouble, come to me for help. I'll put my life on the line to keep you all safe. Although Gourmet smiles as she speaks, there's a sadness in her eyes. I can sense the deep hole losing Rowdy has left behind. By what means does that SPX detect its prey, Teki? I'm preoccupied with how sluggish it was when it attacked incompetent. Well, my inspection suggests that its camera is non-functioning. The lens would reflect light, coming into conflict with its invisibility. It's my belief that it senses targets via audio, hence why it reacts more slowly in comparison to the white SPX. So it's attracted to sound, huh? I'm not sure whether to relax or be on my guard. On one hand, we don't need to hide in order to be safe, even in their presence. On the other hand, every step we take will only give them more sound to find us. This news is a mixture of good and bad.
少女は重大なことに気
The girl
づいた
notices something crucial.
皆さん
Let's keep
早く
moving
逃げ
everyone
ましょう
quickly, said the girl, tugging insistently on
少女は
incompetent
無能探
detective's
偵の
hand.
文学さん
Bookworm, what's
そんなに
gotten you
慌て
so
て
worried?
わかりませんか
Did you get it?
先ほど
Armor
武装
detective
探
made
偵で
such a
盛
racket
大
just
に
now.
音を立て
With
て
all his whooping
叫
and
び声
hollering,
奴らが
if
音に
those
引き寄
things
せ
are
られる
attracted
と
to
した
sound,
みんな逃げてすごい数の
everyone run! I sense a lot of threats heading this way.
透明な SPX
There are that many invisible SPXs? Everyone, my soul brims with contrition. I have failed us yet again.
叫んだら敵が
Blubbering will only bring our enemies down upon us faster. Be silent and let us escape with haste.
あなたが十分うるさい
Make
です
quite a racket yourself, you know, said the girl, slipping in a retort at the We flee from the SPXs, trying to move as quickly as we can while making as little noise as possible. In the end, we're still trapped in this scorching labyrinth with no way out and no way of stopping the SPXs.
セオリーは
Discard your theories, huh? Maybe it's time I finally accept my
これは
fate.
俺もいよいよ腹をくくらないといけ
Alright. That's gonna be where we leave it for tonight. We got a ways into chapter 4. I kind of agree with Lisa that, like, the SPXs are getting a little repetitive. We'll just have to see how they play into the larger plot. I'm gonna quickly go to the bathroom, and when I come back, we're gonna do Among-Us. So sit tight, guys, and I'll be...
Yes, goodbye. This what you need?
Here, take these. Go wash your hands, please. Ah! Well, how do you like that? Oh. Is he still alive? Might just die now.
Have to be careful.
Oh, what the hell? Oh, what the hell?
We're done here. Take away the bodies.
Commencing total extermination.
Wow.
Well, that's that.
Not using it as bait? Hey, I know we were having a good old-fashioned fist fight, but... Have you seen my laser satellite? Wrong.
Combatants face each other. A sharp attack.
She lived? Nido Queen is so busted. And paralyzed again. Alright, I can't with her. I can't. She is the drama. His Dragonite runs Focus Band. Oh, imagine if that had happened to me.
What'll it do? A light pack. Ah, it can't move.
Nido Queen is the queen of clutch.
Battle continues.
I can't believe how good she is.